Welcome to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's Major League Baseball betting podcast. I'm Collin Whitchurch, joined by Jim Turvey of Roto Grinders for what we've done monthly since the season begun, a futures check-in episode as we enter the All-Star break. It is the Friday before the All-Star break. Each team's got about 3 more games left until we hit the actual All-Star break. It's also not. This is one of my biggest bugaboos. It's not the midpoint of the season. We are not at the halfway point of the season. The halfway point of the season was about a week or two ago. Most of the teams have played 90 to 95 games yet. But again, with everyone kind of hitting pause, resetting a little bit, it's a good time to check in on the futures markets, see if we can add to our portfolio, build some winning bets here with the season just about 3 months away from reaching October. So how we're going to do this, Jim and I have some of our favorite bets here, but we're going to go market through market here for the awards. Neither of us have a ton on the team-based side, divisions, pennants, World Series. We'll talk through those a little bit, but primarily this is going to be awards focused. It's going to be player focused. And so we're going to start with the top, the awards that people care about the most, the MVP awards. It's, to be fair, these could be seen by some as the least interesting awards because we have two at DraftKings. All these odds I'm going to cite, unless noted otherwise, are DraftKings odds. At DraftKings right now, Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani are our 2 MVP favorites. They're both minus 1,600 here on July 11th, which is insane. In the AL, you have Cal Raleigh at second at plus 750, and then the next best odds is 55 to 1. In the NL, behind Ohtani, it's a little bit tighter. Pete Crow Armstrong is 9 to 1. Juan Soto's 25 to 1. And then you get Kyle Tucker at 40 to 1. And James Wood and others at 50 to 1 or longer. Jim, what stands out to you here in these markets, if anything? Is there a way to bet against Judge and Ohtani? We've talked in previous episodes about how betting into these markets is essentially betting on injury risk of our 2 stars. Do you have any thoughts here on either of these markets in terms of where bettors might go?
Yeah, it's funny because I actually see the AL as the one that is much more like, I think Judge is much more like the minus 1,600 for Judge, I think is a fair number. We'll get to NL because I actually think that minus 1,600 is a little long for Ohtani right now. But Aaron Judge is tracking to have the best F4 season since Babe Ruth. I mean, the stats he's putting up, he could miss like 3 weeks and still pretty easily cruise to this award. So I think it's not even like an injury dart if you're going in the AL. It has to be like a big injury dart, which I think is pretty bold, or an injury dart plus him crashing. Now he does have an insane BABIP, but that's kind of because he hits lasers just all over the field in a stadium that's like tailor-made for him. So I think that Judge is a very fair favorite in the AL. Ironically, I don't mind a little sprinkle on one player in the AL. Tariq Skubal at plus 10,000 100 to 1. The Tigers team is the best in baseball. We've seen the Yankees slip out of that top spot in the division. It probably would require a Judge injury to open the door still. But Skubal's pitching out of his mind. I mean, we'll talk AL Cy Young as well in a bit. I mean, he's been absolutely amazing. He has been the best pitcher in baseball. And again, for the best team in baseball, pitchers don't typically win this award, but they can. They definitely can win this award when they're in really special seasons.
Tigers pitchers can too.
Yes, you're very right. I mean, are they the 2 most recent MVP winners in Verlander and
Kershaw did it. I don't know if Kershaw was after. Did Scherzer win MVP inside? I thought it was just Verlander and then Kershaw.
I think it was just Verlander. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
But I think it's worth a sprinkle at 100 to 1 right now. Again, I think Judge has this pretty well locked in. On the NL side, though, I'm a little bit surprised that Ohtani is this big of a favorite. I know one book is offering the field versus Ohtani. I don't mind taking that bet on the field. If we look at, this is an award that is the F4 or is WAR leaderboards basically, right? And Ohtani, now he is going to start pitching. That's going to help his WAR totals. But he really only has like a half-win lead on the rest of the NL right now. PCA is actually ahead of him in terms of FWAR, and it's not really luck-driven. PCA's BABIP is like 300. He just is hitting a lot of home runs, stealing a lot of bases, playing great defense. I think his teammate, Kyle Tucker, is pretty interesting. He's only 0.3 WAR behind Otani, and he's 40-1. The Cubs and Dodgers are pretty much even record wise. And I kind of like, I mean, the Cubs, if we talk about, teams I feel like each time I've come on here, I've like loved like one or two teams. Cubs are one of those teams I still really like them. You look at run differential, they're ahead of the Dodgers. The fear maybe is the two of them splitting votes, whereas Otani doesn't really have a natural, it's not, Mookie Betts isn't really in this race right now. But if Mookie gets hot, then suddenly we're talking about splitting votes out there as well. So I don't mind a sprinkle on both of the Cubs guys, with Tucker, almost keeping it like a flat unit, because I like the Tucker one more. It's longer odds. So I really don't mind sprinkling versus the field here. I think Otani is also the bigger injury risk now that he is doing the pitching as well. So all things considered, I think the NL MVP NL MVP market is the one that I'd want to spend a little more time with in general.
The Scooble sprinkle is an interesting one, and it's one that I was eyeballing as well. I had a Riley Green MVP ticket before the season. I'll eat crow. I was down on the Tigers to start the year. I was not a believer in their second half run last year. I thought they were going to regress back to what they were in the first half of last year. This year, I've been way wrong. But I said if the Tigers are going to reach the expectations that everyone has and win the AL Central, compete for World Series, all that, I said the only way I could see that happening is Riley Green having an MVP caliber season, which is why I had him as an MVP ticket. I was talking to a buddy about this just a couple weeks ago. Riley Green's having a great season. Riley Green's an all-star. He's very legit. And he said that Riley Green ticket's got to be live, right? And I go, well, it's hard for Riley Green to win MVP when he's not even the MVP of his team right now.
Yeah.
That's how good Scooble's been.
Amazing.
And I think that given, like, with all due respect to Garrett Crochet, Hunter Brown, Jacob deGrom, etc., I think what it takes for a pitcher to win MVP, fairly or not, is for him to be like undoubtedly the best pitcher in baseball. And that's what Scooble is. At least the best in the American League, because these are league-based awards. Like nobody, the most homerish Red Sox fan in the world, deep down, is going to admit Scooble's a better pitcher than Crochet. He is. He's got to be that good to win the award. And for the old hats that still care about it, he's going to have the win-loss record. He's going to have the ERA. He's going to have the strikeouts. So I love that. Again, and that is the most interesting thing about a Scooble bet too, is that if you wanted to bet on Cal Raleigh, you wanted to bet on Bobby Witt Jr., whomever, all you got to do is look at their one-to-one comparison to Judge's numbers, right? Like the home runs, the OPS, the WRC plus, etc. Judge is going to have them on everything. So no matter how much you want to narrative Cal Raleigh's home runs and his catcher defense, Judge is going to have him in basically every offensive category. Scooble doesn't have to worry about that. You're comparing apples to oranges here, and that might actually help Scooble in the voting, because you're comparing pitching stats to hitting stats, and if the pitching stats are that outrageous, that's going to work in his advantage. Again, it's going to take Judge missing some time there. Judge is also trending toward legitimate Triple Crown contention for people who still care about that, which is funny that so in a hypothetical scenario where Scooble gets the narrative-driven MVP award over Judge when Judge wins the Triple Crown, it would just flip on its head the last Triple Crown winner when Miguel Cabrera won, and he stole the MVP from Mike Trout, who deserved the MVP more than the Triple Crown winner. And now we have another Triple Crown winner going against a Detroit Tiger.
It's pretty funny because as you were saying that, I was looking up, Scooble is pretty close to the pitching Triple Crown. He's
only won it last year, too.
Yeah, so he's one win behind. He's like 4 strikeouts behind. He's leading in ERA. So he could go back-to-back pitching Triple Crown. So you could have a Triple Crown off in the AL MVP race, which is pretty impressive.
Love that. NL side, I'll give my thoughts here quickly. I feel like I'm in a echo chamber a little bit, living in Chicago, living 4 miles from Wrigley Field. The PCA noise is really, really loud here. You look at the WAR numbers. Again, his defense really stands out. The narrative is going to love PCA if he finishes the season as strong as he's going right now. The voter fatigue could be a real thing if Otani doesn't put up the most outlandish numbers, like comparable to what he's done in the past. If PCA goes 40-40, if he goes higher than that, if he goes 45-45, I don't think he's going to go 50-50, but like those are real numbers. You mentioned the Otani versus Field thing. It's interesting. I'm looking at Bet365. They have Otani versus Field. Otani's minus 1400. Field is plus 750. They don't have a Judge versus Field, which I'm not sure why exactly, but I think that so basically what you're looking at here, if you want to bet into the NL MVP market, is you could sprinkle Kyle Tucker as a long shot, or you're going to bet the Field. Because if you bet the Field, you get PCA, you get Soto going insane in the second half and leading the Mets to the NL East title, whatever. Personally, what I'm going to do here is, we've talked through a lot of hypotheticals here, but like to give the folks some action here, I'm going to sprinkle the smallest amount on Scooble here, 0.1 unit, just because I think that there's a pathway. It's a very slim pathway, but there's a pathway to Scooble winning the MVP. I'm staying away from the NL entirely. I think that like there's just not enough value on someone like PCA at plus 850, plus 900. And I don't see like the Riley Green Scooble thing. I'm like, Tucker, yeah, that's really intriguing, but I just don't think he's the most valuable player on the Cubs. And I don't think the narrative's quite there yet. Are you are you throwing down anything on these races, or are they just more watches for you?
I'm gonna sprinkle the Scooble. I'll probably even do like a 0.05 unit, something like that, because I
Yeah.
do think the Judge is in pretty good shape. In the NL, I do wish that versus the Field. It's funny, he's minus 1600, but then if you make it versus Field, it's minus 1400, and the hold is crazy because it's only plus 750. If we were getting a
Yeah.
full plus 1600, or even honestly a plus 1000, shop these around. Maybe your book, some weird book you can find, has like a plus 1000. I don't hate even the plus 750. I might do a small sprinkle on the plus 750 because I do think both of those Cubs plus Soto, there's just a lot more options in the NL. Plus, we have, well, we'll talk about NL Cy Young. I mean, there's two really, really good pitchers on that side. And I don't think that they're at the MVP level, but I don't think Otani has run away with it. So I think the best way to do it is the versus the Field. I wish it was a little longer. If it was plus 1000, I think it would be a best bet. Plus 750 isn't terrible though. So I think I'll sprinkle that and sprinkle the Scooble. Those will be the two official bets out of this.
Let's move on to the Cy Young, where we can talk a little bit more about Tarek Skubal. He is a very strong favorite for AL Cy Young, as you might expect, minus 400 at DraftKings. Behind him, Garrett Crochet is plus 650, Hunter Brown plus 800. Jacob deGrom, who you gave out last episode, I believe, is 10-1. So there's value on there. I feel like it was like 18-1 or something like that when we talked about it last month. And then Max Fried 20-1. Everyone else is 40-1 or longer. The NL Cy Young race has gotten a lot more interesting since last we talked about it. Paul Skeens and Zach Wheeler, basically, depending on the book you look at, one of them's the favorite. It's basically a coin flip. DraftKings has Skeens at minus 120 and Wheeler at minus 110. Logan Webb is 15-1. Everyone else is 30-1 or longer. I don't personally see value in either of these races. The one thing I want to mention here, like, I wish I had seen and jumped on Wheeler earlier. I have some bet regret here. If it becomes a coin flip between Skeens and Wheeler, the narrative-based voting is going to get really interesting because Skeens is the future, the phenom, right? Wheeler is the old hat, but Wheeler's never won a Cy Young. And like, do voters give him the lifetime achievement award of sense? Is this Martin Scorsese winning for The Departed, except for NL Cy Young voting? Like, Wheeler is 35. I think he's even said, like, he signed through 2027. I think he's already said he's going to retire when his contract runs out. Like, baseball, he's one of those, baseball's a job for him. Like, he's Nikola Jokic. Like, he goes out and he does his work, and then he comes home and he plays Call of Duty. That's Zach Wheeler's life. He's might end up having the best season of his career here, which is saying quite a bit. He's finished second in Cy Young voting twice. Another top sixth finish and then a 12th place finish. He's gotten MVP votes multiple times. He's approaching 2,000 strikeouts. He's got a 2.17 ERA this year. Like if it's not obvious, I'm kind of rooting for Zach Wheeler to win Cy Young at this point, just because I think that it would be cool to see him finally get one of the best pitchers of our generation and one of the most underrated pitchers of our generation. Normally we talk about long shots here in the voting. I don't see any long shots here. It's Wheeler versus Skeens pending injury. In the AL, obviously that's where you're going to want to sprinkle versus injury risk with Skubal. Do you have anyone you're doing that with?
Yeah, I'll start with the NL because I do think it's a really interesting debate. It's really fun that it's like basically this heads up matchup here. And you talk about like bet regret. I like had some generous souls coming out telling me to bet Wheeler a long time ago. I definitely should have listened, but I'm like pretty stubborn on being a little bit Wheeler skeptical, and it's burned me the last 2 seasons. I mean, I think you always laugh at the season long strikeout props that I love, like fading the big names. Wheeler has burned me. It looks like both seasons. He certainly burned me last season.
Oh, man.
Looks like he's going to burn me again. He has, the age thing. If you use Eno Sarris's injury tools, he's popped both seasons as like a very high risk pitcher in terms of the velocities. He's just proven me entirely wrong. So
yeah,
I probably have a blind spot here for Wheeler, but I still am on the Skeen side of it. The fact that he kind of is like toned down and he's doing all of this, like if he ever chooses to hit the gas, he can like his strikeout rates could pop. The ERA could probably drop a little bit. And I think it's better news for his health. He's younger. He's not pushing his body to the extreme, which is really where we see those injuries all the time. So I guess I come down on the Skeen side of it, but I am with you 100%. I think a lot of people are going to be thinking the way you're thinking. If the season ends and both stay healthy and their numbers are similar, I do think it goes to Wheeler because Skeens is going to have lots of opportunities.
They'll say Skeens is going to win some. Let's give one to the old guy.
Exactly. And I think Wheeler's, I think a lot of people feel are on your side of it of rooting for Wheeler and being like, this guy is who, Scorsese, give him the award. This is kind of lifetime achievement. Plus, he's like legitimately been freaking awesome this season. It wouldn't be a hand-me-down. It would be very much a well-deserved. So I still skew slightly Skeens, but the narrative is probably enough to cancel. So I think a 50-50 coin flip is a very fair place to place that race. So I don't have any bets for the NL right now, honestly. On the AL, we just talked about how amazing Skubal is and talked about him for MVP. I do think there's like a vaguely interesting sprinkle. This is another one where I wish it was longer, to be honest. But Max Fried is one of those guys who just always beats the peripherals. He's the guy ahead of Skubal in terms of wins this season. His strikeouts are never there, but strikeouts don't matter as much for the Cy Young as it used to be. It's basically just ERA crown. Now, Skubal, I think this Fried thing would have to be Skubal getting hurt. But Skubal does live at a really high velocity. Now, he cruises through innings. He attacks the zone. I don't think he's a very high-risk injury pitcher. That's why I wish Fried was more like 50-1. If Fried was 51, I'd be here actively giving it out. But 22-1, I don't hate a tiny little sprinkle. I think he's great at always beating his peripherals. He's a big market guy. He has the history as well without having the award. He has a runner-up and a 5th place. So, again, if it's like a little bit of let's get this awesome pitcher of this generation an award, again, I wish it was longer, but 22-1, it was the only one that even caught my eye in either of these Cy Young races.
I do think we've talked about bet regret here a little bit, but I do think if you're going to buy into Fried, this is the spot to do it, because it was a month or so ago. He was basically like, there was a lump of second favorites behind Skubal. It was Crochet, Brown, and Fried was right there because of how hot of a start he got it to. So I feel like if I would have to look at like the trends over the year, but I feel like right now Fried is at about as long as he's been all season, since maybe the preseason. So this is a good time to buy into it. But that is both of these are passes for me ultimately. Again, Skubal, it's injury. You're betting on if he gets injured, which both of us are hoping doesn't happen. Yeah. Even for as much as I hate the Detroit Tigers, I'm not hoping for a Tarek Skubal injury.
I knew they were going to catch a stray right there. I knew they were going to catch one.
And yeah, the NL, like the only, like, you want to talk about, it's funny. I jokingly told Sean Zerillo that Andrew Abbott was an NL Cy Young buy at 150 to 1 or something a few months ago. He's down to 70 to 1. He just keeps defying the peripherals. Yamamoto 55 to 1 is kind of interesting, and Logan Webb, most underrated pitcher in baseball. We just talked about that on today's Best Bets episode. He's the only guy who I think could realistically threaten joining the Skeens Wheeler group. But we will move on from there. Rookie of the Year is my favorite category to bet. It is Jim's least favorite category to bet. So I'll take the stage here and let Jim decide if he has any thoughts, because this is where my best future of right now lies. It is in the NL Rookie of the Year race. I'll set the stage on these awards here a little bit real quick. In the NL Rookie of the Year race, right now we've got a pretty strong favorite. Burst on the scene, Jacob Misiorowski of the Brewers has just been absolutely on fire since getting promoted. He's minus 230 now for NL Rookie of the Year. Behind him, we have Drake Baldwin of the Braves at 5 to 1. Agustin Ramirez of the Marlins at 10 to 1. Kim of the Dodgers 13 to 1. AL race has actually gotten pretty interesting. It's similar to the NL Cy Young race. Jacob Wilson of the A's has been the favorite for most of the season. Got off to a torrid start, starting at shortstop for the American League in the All-Star game. Had a little bit of an injury scare the other night. Got hit in the hand on the second plate appearance of the game. Second batter of the game got hit on the hand, left the game. Everyone's like, "Oh God, he broke his hand." Sounds like he escaped that, but he's no longer the favorite. He's plus 110 behind Cam Smith of the Astros, a very trendy Rookie of the Year bet before the season of the Astros. He actually came to Houston in the Kyle Tucker deal. Cubs first round pick last year. They traded him to Houston for Kyle Tucker before the season. Very, very young, and again, got drafted last year and was on the Astros opening day roster this year. So very little time in the minors. The Astros obviously love this guy. Got off to a very slow start. Has now kind of been steady. Now he's minus 105 to win this award. Nick Kurtz, Wilson's A's teammate, is plus 550. Just went on an absolute tear. Had like 8 home runs in 15 games or something like that for Sacramento. Did not say Oakland. And then beyond that, you got Roman Anthony, 25 to 1. Jason Dominguez, 30 to 1. Carlos Narvaez, 30 to 1, etc. on down the list. My best bet is coming on the National League side of this. I think that Misiorowski, after his hot start, is being very overvalued here to be as strong as a minus 230 favorite. He has an incredibly volatile profile, even by pitching standards, which all pitchers are pretty volatile to begin with. Like, he has elite strikeout stuff, but the tear that he's on right now, I feel like isn't very sustainable given his profile. He's much more wild. He has much more poor command than he's displayed in this small sample size. I could see him coming down to earth quite a bit as the season wears on. So the guy I'm betting on is another pitcher in the National League who's gotten off to a slower start, which has helped us in the odds department, and it's Chase Burns of the Cincinnati Reds. Chase Burns, he's still prospect eligible if you're looking at prospect list. He is the best pitching prospect in baseball. Like, if you listen to our daily best bets episode for Friday, I just talked about it. I think if you're looking at the pitching prospects, how high end their potential is, and it's a Skeens scale from 0 to Skeens. Burns is one step below Skeens in terms of stuff. Like, from the day he was drafted last year by the Reds, people said you could slot him into Cincy's rotation. He's probably a number 2 starter. He has number 1 starter upside. And there are maybe a dozen number 1 starters in baseball. That's probably way too heavy. There's probably more like 6, but Burns has that type of upside. He's gotten off to a very, very slow start. He's only made 3 starts. His 4th is coming tonight. He got destroyed from a results perspective by the Red Sox in his 2nd start. He only recorded 1 out. He gave up 5 earned runs. Wasn't a ton of hard contact, if I recall. I don't have the data in front of me. I feel like he got dinked around. He has struggled with his command more than people expected. It's kind of opposites here. Misiorowski had command concerns, and it's been great. Burns, people thought his command was very plus for his age, and he struggled with it a little bit. I think those could flip on their heads a little bit. Burns has elite strikeout upside. Like, on par with Misiorowski's, if not better. I think that he will tone down his walks where Misiorowski's could start going up, and I think his run prevention is going to be elite. He's also going to be pitching. Well, both these guys are going to be pitching in meaningful games, but I feel like uh, if Burns is performing like a number one and the Reds stay in the thick of the wild card race, I think that the value on him right now dropping all the way down to 30-1 is too good to pass up. Like Misiorowski is probably going to be pitching in meaningful games also. Uh, but I do think he's going to come down to earth a little bit, and Burns, the upside on him, like the fact that he got off to a slow start, it was beneficial to us in this odds market, because I feel like the day he got called up, he was probably less than 10-1 because that's how highly thought of he was. But now he's down at 30-1. I see him 20 to 25-1 at some books. I like that as well. But Burns at 30-1, like if there's a dude we're going to see shove over these last 2.5-3 months, it's going to be him. And the Misiorowski's been incredible. What he did against the Dodgers the other night was insane. I just think that's like the high end of his outcomes, and we're going to see a little bit more middling results down the stretch.
Yeah, you talked about I don't really pay a lot of attention to this market, but I do. Listen to smart people, and while you were talking about that, I'm in on this bet. I absolutely love this bet. I mean, it's five. We're talking about 5 starts for Misiorowski and 3 starts for Burns. If you take out the one really crummy start for Burns, his ERA basically matches Misiorowski's FIP. You talked about, and I think that Misiorowski, just watching him pitch, has been a blast, first of all. But he also, to me, screams a lot more injury concern than Chase Burns. Chase Burns has the strikeouts, like the strikeout per 9 are basically matching. I'm in love with this bet. This, to me, is the perfect buy low. I think that Red Sox start is kind of hiding that they're pretty similar pitchers. Now, the biggest thing, I think, the biggest worry is Chase Burns' home stadium sucks. It sucks to pitch.
Yeah.
In Great American there. So that's probably the one thing. But if you're getting one at minus 230 and one at plus 3,000 after a combined 8 starts, I absolutely love this. I'm absolutely in on this one.
I am going to be interested to see just one final point. I'm going to be interested to see how the Brewers manage Misiorowski the rest of the season compared to Burns. Misiorowski's been around a lot longer. Like he was a 2nd-round pick in 2022. So he's had some time in the minors, and he's maxed out at 97 innings in a season. Between his two stops right now, he's at 88 innings already.
Well, and you mentioned him being in important baseball. That might actually hurt. It might be that they really want him to be able to pitch in the postseason. They might ramp down on him even more in order to.
That's my point. Yeah,
it would be great to have him in the postseason, because they've kind of proven me that's a team I was incredibly wrong on. They look like they're going to be around for the postseason.
Yeah, and like they want him pitching important innings in late September and potentially October. So I could see them easing up on his workload a little bit. Burns doesn't have a long track record of huge workloads either. He threw 100 innings at Wake Forest last year. He threw and he didn't pitch in the minors after draft. They let him chill because of how heavy his workload was in college. But Terry Francona, I feel like he knows the right buttons to push in situations like this. And I think the Reds front office is starving contention enough that they will, take the reins off Burns a little. I trust them to ride Burns more than I trust the Brewers to ride Misiorowski. And that will only help, especially WAR totals, etc. These Rookie of the Year races
the Brewers front office is smarter, and that might hurt in the terms of the rookie.
Yes, that's a roundabout way of me saying that the Brewers front office might just be smarter, and that'll hurt. These are very interesting races. I feel like the last couple of years we've had runaway dominant Rookie of the Year favorites in a lot of the leagues, and this year that is not the case. I don't think anyone had. Well, people had Cam Smith pretty high up there at the start of the year, but nobody had Misiorowski near the top of the Rookie of the Year leaderboard. I feel like you probably could have gotten him at 50-1 or longer in the preseason. So
and really, I actually think that might be part of why he's such a heavy minus right now. I know a lot of smart people did grab him at really long numbers, and I wonder if the handle for him is so heavy that the books are trying to shift some of that leverage away from him. So I think that could be part of this as well.
It's very interesting. Yeah, the favorites and like Dylan Cruz was one of the favorites before the season. He's 50-1. Bubba Chandler, when are the Pirates going to freaking call him up? Like,
Yeah.
if they would have called him up a month ago, he would have been my pick. He's down at 55-1 right now.
But he's only, I mean, if he gets called up in the next week, he's what, four or five starts behind these guys. So it's not impossible for sure.
Very, very good point. Yeah, like Chase Dollander has been a nightmare for the Rockies. Jordan Lawler hasn't gotten enough run for the Diamondbacks. Yeah, it's been a very eclectic race. Like Chad Patrick was not on anyone's radar before the season, and he's sitting at 35-1. Another Brewers pitcher. Same with Isaac Collins, create a player on MLB The Show, basically manning the outfield for the Brewers, down there at 30-1. That's a lot of Rookie of the Year talk. We can move on from there. So we move from Rookie of the Year, which is an award that I care greatly about, and Jim doesn't pay quite as much attention to two awards that I don't really pay that much attention to, but Jim does. We're going to start with the Reliever of the Year market, which is one that I often forget exists. But you've had takes on this a couple of episodes now. You gave out I'm forgetting who you gave out last episode.
Josh Hader, who is
now the favorite for AL Reliever of the Year. Andres Munoz scuffled a little bit. He's down at plus 115. You have Aroldis Chapman at 8-1. These are Bet365 lines I'm citing, by the way. And then everyone else is 35-1 or longer in the NL. Edwin Diaz is now the favorite, minus 140 for the Mets. Robert Suarez of the Padres, plus 165. Then you have Camilo Doval, Ryan Helsley, both at 15-1. Everyone else 35-1 or longer. This is an interesting category. Jim, we were talking right before recording. You had a solid Reliever of the Year best bet last night. This market is so volatile that it has now flipped to the point where it's more one to watch, right?
Yeah, for sure. So I do love this market. It's like the most niche market ever, and there's all sorts of noise with reliever innings being as they are. But I really like this market. So I'll start with the NL, where last night Suarez was the fave, and he was. I think last night Edwin Diaz was plus 135. That was going to be my best bet for this whole episode. I was really excited. Suarez, kind of has these middling peripherals, but he's leading the league in saves. Whereas Edwin Diaz has these incredible peripherals, and especially since we had that, I think the funniest story of the season, maybe still, that when they discovered his legs were different sizes. So before they discovered that, he had 11 innings pitched, a 4.91 ERA, 4.54 FIP. Ever since, 25 innings of 0.36 ERA, 0.97 FIP. He's Edwin Diaz of old, now that his legs are just the same size, which is like the funniest story of the season, maybe. I don't mind him at minus 140. Obviously, loved it a lot more at plus 135. That's a pretty big swing overnight. That's kind of maybe the point of these markets are pretty volatile. Relievers are very volatile. Before you even get into injury possibilities, you can lose your job. You can have one big blow up that tanks your ERA for at least a month, if not the season. So I don't mind playing on a couple long shots, but I think Edwin is very accurately the favor on the NL side. I don't mind a small sprinkle there, but on the AL side, gave out Hader last time. Love the position we're in. Might just let it ride. But I don't mind a long shot on that side too. Carlos Estevez is tied with Hader for the league lead in saves in the American League. He's got a lower ERA. Now, the peripherals are worse. But if you can get plus 3,500, which are his odds in this market right now, we've seen plenty of relievers just get lucky for a full season. Usually my capping is look for the guys with strong peripherals. But when we get to relievers, there's so much noise. It's such a small sample. One guy can ride a hot 60 inning stretch and lead the league in ERA and saves. So I think that's a good sprinkle if you did get Hader last time. Munoz has still been excellent. So if you, I personally am not going to go chasing and try and grab Munoz at plus money, but I know some people like to lock in the wins. You could do. I don't hate Munoz, but we saw last night, it looked like he was tipping pitches. He blew up last night. I'm actually surprised Hader didn't move into even bigger favorite. So maybe keep an eye on it if you are intrigued by Munoz. But Hader still has the best expected ERA of any reliever with at least 30 innings. He's got 4 more saves. I think he's the accurate favorite. I don't think we need to chase here. If anything, I don't mind a sprinkle on that long shot Estevez. But I noticed they still have not given us all-star Randy Rodriguez lowest ERA among pitchers with 30 innings.
What the
Their
hell? Does
guy.
any one of these sports books listen to this podcast?
Come
Give
on,
us I don't
man.
want to reach out to them directly because then they'll give us terrible odds,
Yeah.
Like, give us they're still listening to Ryan Walker
Oh,
here.
my guy.
Our guy from the preseason who sucks this year. But they're not giving us new Giants legend Randy Rodriguez. Like, come on.
now.
Ryan Presley, Michael Kopech are on here. It's preposterous.
Preposterous.
Um,
That's basically my thoughts on reliever of the year. I think a sprinkle on Estevez. The Diaz, again, I wish we'd gotten that plus 35. I wish we'd podcasted one day earlier and we could have gotten you that. But I don't mind the minus 140. I think he is very legitimately the favorite. And, since that leg discrepancy, he's been himself of old and been truly elite. So,
only thing I'll add to this category, don't have strong feelings on it, but we just need more justice for my guy Will Vest. He's sitting at 50 to 1.
AL Randy Rodriguez.
Yeah, like no one's gonna look at WAR totals for relievers, but if I'm picking and choosing stats to try to make my argument, like Baseball Reference WAR right now, Josh Hader 1.6, Carlos Estevez 1.5, Will Vest 1.4. Like
the big three right there.
I didn't look at Munoz, but Vest isn't going to win this award because AJ Hinch doesn't lean on him as closer.
Yeah.
Like he plays matchups, but he's got a 2.14 ERA, and he's striking out more than 10 batters per 9, walking less than 3. He's given up 2 homers all season. He is the AL's Randy Rodriguez. I guess that's the best way I'll put it. Just proving that I'm not just completely spitting vitriol against the Tigers at all times.
Yeah, you might secretly love the Tigers. This might be like a love-hate thing where we have to dive a little deeper into psychology here. You seem to mention Tigers a lot, really on your mind.
I've said this before. I'm in a dynasty baseball league with all Tigers fans. I am as much as I'm surrounded by Cubs stuff by being 4 miles from Wrigley Field, I'm surrounded by Tigers stuff just via the group chats I'm in and people talking about Matt Vierling and Justin Henry Malloy and Trey Sweeney, Eastern Illinois University legend Trey Sweeney. Anyway, I digress. Our producer David probably has his head in his hands right now. We're going to go to the other weird market that Jim loves. It's weird to me. No disrespect here. Manager of the Year market. Now, this is like the most, in my opinion, the most vibes-based award you can possibly bet. It's so much based on preseason projections and people, what they do versus their preseason projections, them awarding guys that they that haven't been awarded before, etc. So not surprisingly, you have takes here.
Not surprising, yes. I'll start in the AL, which is going to be my favorite bet of the podcast here. I'm going to bet Joe Espada plus 4,000. So AJ Hinch is the overwhelming favorite right now, very deservingly. But Houston's only 3 back of Detroit, and there are plenty of Detroit skeptics out there. Detroit, I think every time I come on this podcast or every time I listen, it's you and Zerillo being like, are they this good? Whereas Houston, I mean, they have by far the best record against teams over 500. I was skeptical of Houston coming into the season, but very annoyingly, they just look built to sustain, man. They really do have, they even turned over front office to kind of more old school folks, and they're still doing it. They got Cam Smith, like you said, for Rookie of the Year. He's come out of nowhere. The pitching, they just print pitching. They're doing this with Yordan Alvarez, basically a lost season from him so far. If he were to ever come back, that's a big bump. They got Pena and Jeremy Pena and Christian Javier, both out right now, but both coming back soon. They have the second easiest remaining strength of schedule, so they're going to get to beat up on some bad teams down the stretch here. Now, they were projected for about 4 more wins on the preseason win total than the Tigers. So if you think in terms of that, which I think is usually important with this award, I think the flip of it would be the recency. So the Tigers started off so hot. Houston started off kind of slow. If we get Houston is the story of the second half of the season, I think that kind of more is enough to cancel out the kind of preseason expectations on each, where Houston may have to clear by more. If Houston finishes with the better record, I think this is very much up for grabs. At plus 4,000, I don't think this award is wrapped up by any means. Detroit also, we've talked about, they have so much WAR tied up with Skubal. If he goes down, they look a lot more human for sure. Houston's a much flatter, spread of their wins above replacement. It's kind of, they're constantly able to send the next person up. So grabbing this at 40-1, this is my favorite bet of the podcast. It's a 41. You're not going to put multiple units on it, but I think I'll put a half unit here. I think this is a pretty good number. We're not going to talk a whole lot of team stuff, but Houston, annoyingly, is they're just good, man. The first one of these we did, I loved Seattle. They've cooked Seattle, man. Seattle is a distant second, and Houston looks like they are just kind of cruising right now. They've been really good. So I think Espada here at plus 4,000 is a number that really intrigues me.
Can you name off the top of your head who won AL Manager of the Year last year?
Was it Royals, Matt Quatraro or whatever?
No, it was Stephen Vogt of the Guardians.
Oh yeah, okay.
I just wanted to illustrate how stupid this award is.
Well, actually, so I have quizzes for you actually, and it goes. Can I transition into the NL Manager of the Year?
Go for it. I have Astros thoughts, but go for it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to quiz you. So, do you know who won NL Manager of the Year last year?
Was it okay, well, hang on, let me think. Was it Jesus, was it Pat Murphy?
It was. Well done, Collin.
Hey!
It was Pat Murphy. So right now, Pat Murphy is the second favorite in this, despite being the reigning Manager of the Year. Now I've got another quiz for you. You and I love quizzes. Another quiz. Can you guess there are 2 times in baseball history that a manager won Manager of the Year in back-to-back seasons, both this century. I'll give you that hint.
Okay, well, was one of them Francona?
No, surprisingly not. I believe he has the most Manager of the Years, but I think they've been spread out a bunch.
So there's 2 different back-to-back winners. Both of them happened since the year 2000.
One AL, one NL.
Okay. Boy. Well, was one of them like Joe Torre? Oh, wait, that would have been.
You're very close with Joe Torre. Think about the other dynasty around that era.
Oh, is it Giants? Bochy.
Oh no, Bobby Cox earlier.
Bobby Cox. Oh, earlier. Okay.
And then the other one's very weird. I don't think I would have gotten neither of these. I don't think the other one is a COVID season was one of them.
The COVID season one. I was gonna say, was it Joe Girardi for the Marlins and then for the Yankees?
That would have been interesting. No, so it was Kevin Cash was 2020 and Kevin 2021.
Cash. Okay, that makes sense.
It does happen, but it's pretty rare. So I think that there's a little bit of intrigue here. So, right now the favorite is Craig Counsell with the Cubs, which I think is fair. I was looking at preseason win totals. I was actually very surprised. This preseason win total for the Cubs and Brewers I didn't remember this. They were basically the same. It was 85.5 for the Cubs, 83.5 for the Brewers.
Like 4 of the 5 NL Central teams were all within like 4 wins of each other. I feel like nobody knew what to make of that division in the preseason.
So the Cubs kind of running away with stuff. It is very impressive. So I think he's the accurate favorite. But I don't mind a dart on Dave Roberts here at plus 5,000. So he's only won it once. That was about a decade ago in 2016. And he really has done such a good job steering this. He's got the greatest payroll in the league and the best roster for sure. But they have injuries all the time, especially on the rotation side of things. I don't think there's a reason he's plus 5,000 right now. I don't think he gets a ton of credit. People look at that roster and say, you got the best roster handed right to you. But if the Cubs cool off and the Dodgers really, kind of hit the ground running, I think Dave Roberts is in the discussion for this to be plus 5,000. Like, I don't think Pat Murphy's going to go back to back here. So I think that's kind of, giving some value to some of the longer shots. Not a best bet or anything. I like the Espada one much more, but I don't mind a little dart on Dave Roberts at 50-1 here.
I think I have a couple thoughts here. I basically, the way these odds are shaping up, I think that whoever wins the NL Central is going to win Manager of the Year. The Brewers are only 2 games back of the Cubs right now.
Do you think Murphy could go back to back?
I think if the Brewers win the NL Central, he'll beat Craig Counsell in this award. The winner of the NL Central, I feel like is going to, like, Ali Marmol's sitting there at 7-1. The Cardinals are still a little frisky. Terry Francona, could he win Manager of the Year with 3 different teams? 12-1. If the Reds go on a run. The AL, what I'll say is, and this is not me shitting on your bet in any way, shape, or form, because I love long shot sprinkles, obviously. Hinch is a minus 1,600 favorite for a reason. The Tigers, everyone knows the Tigers went on that insane second half run last year, made it to the ALDS, et cetera, et cetera. The Tigers haven't won 90 games in a season since 2014.
Mm.
And like, this is Hinch's fifth year with the team, and everyone, like, it's not like the Tigers got good because they had a bunch of 1-1 picks and spent $300 million on free agents. Like,
Yeah.
this is it's funny. It's going to be another Detroit comparison, but it's very like early to mid 2000s, like Detroit Pistons. Like, they just built and it's the sum of their parts. Like, maybe that's not fair because Scooble is a legit superstar and Riley Green is getting there, but like, these are guys who they had in the past and now are living up to their expectations. And Zarilla talked about this a lot in the preseason. Like, the way Hinch pulls the strings with this bullpen, we just talked about Will Vest and why he's not going to win reliever of the year. Like, it's very, very hard to quantify what a manager adds to a team, but like, you can see it with Hinch as best as you can see it with any manager, like how hands-on he is with this team. And I feel like, other people see that. Like, he found a way to make Javi Baez valuable again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
In a
again,
creative way. Yeah.
yeah, and again, like, maybe we're giving Hinch credit where he doesn't deserve credit in terms of Baez performing well, but he's playing it. He played him in center field. Nobody had thought to do that before.
And that's what
So
Manager of the Year award is giving credit where we're not entirely sure. Like you said, it's very vibes based.
yes, but I really like the idea of. I mean, I love the idea of Roberts winning it. Like, he should. Like, it's not fair to him that the Dodgers are expected to win 100 games every year. Uh, the the Astro stuff drives me insane. Like, I was really down on the Astros to begin this year. Uh, and they were proving me right a lot. Like, they've got nothing out of Yordan Alvarez this
It's
year.
crazy.
And they're in this position all of a sudden. Like, who the hell is Ryan Gusto? Colton Gordon? Like, come on. I mean, to be fair, the rest of the AL West has kind of handed it to him a little bit. Like, the Mariners, they marinered like they always do. The Rangers have been a hot mess. The Rangers are actually, I'm not giving them out, but I feel like they're still a little bit frisky in the, make the playoffs. Marcus Semien starting to turn it around a little bit. They're getting healthier, et cetera, et cetera. But
Is
Espada,
that is that a good
that's your
transition into the one team you want, another team that you just won't quit to end us
yes.
out here?
Yes, we will wrap with a little bit of team-based discussions. As I mentioned at the top, most of this was award-based, but we will, for posterity's sake, go through where we're at right now in the futures market. Just real quick, Dodgers are still the World Series favorite, plus 260. Tigers, Yankees, Phillies, Astros, Mets round out behind them. In the American League, Tigers, Yankees, Astros, National League, Dodgers, Phillies, Mets. But we will go to the division races, which is where I am going to go. And the most insane division race you can think of, uh, in my opinion, at least, the AL East. I can't quit the AL East for one, and I can't quit the Boston Red Sox. The Boston Red Sox are not letting me quit them, even after trading Rafael Devers. Last episode I gave out the Red Sox to make the playoffs. I think it was like plus 330. I gave out the Red Sox to win the AL pennant at 28-1. And, smart handicappers, they add as much different ways of betting the league as possible to just basically ensure profit at the end of the year. Uh, I'm just going to dump all of my eggs in the Red Sox basket and just believe that this is going to happen for this team that I don't even like. So I bet them to make the playoffs. I bet them to win the pennant. And now I'm looking at their AL East odds, which are 22-1 right now at Bet365. And I'm going to throw some down on that. Like, Nobody's running away and hiding in this division. The Yankees have come back down to earth. The Blue Jays have jumped up, but they're not going to do that for the rest of the year. The Rays are the most helter-skelter team in the world. And everyone's talking about, like, the biggest concern with betting into the Red Sox now is, are they going to be sellers after moving Devers, right? Jarren Duran is heavily talked about in the trade market. But the funny thing is, trading Duran isn't necessarily a sell move. They have so many outfielders with Roman Anthony up now. Ceden Rafaela is hitting like an all-star. Like, he's finally living up to his expectations. And him and Wilyer Abreu are both hitting and playing Gold Glove caliber defense in the outfield. Like, that's one thing that really stands out, is their outfield defense. And their infield defense has gotten better since they canned the Christian Campbell at second base experiment. Alex Bregman is going to be back soon to play third base. And their pitching, big question mark behind Garrett Crochet, right? Lucas Giolito has turned things around a little bit. He's a viable starting pitcher. Walker Buehler, I'm entirely out on. We've talked about some of their retreads, the Hunter Dobbins types. The buy now move that I really want them to make is to trade. Like, Duran is young and controllable for several years. Like, make a challenge trade for a pitcher. Like, I was talking to Craig Goldstein at Baseball Prospectus about this just yesterday, and we were throwing out some possibilities, like Jarren Duran for Nick Lodolo, like
Ooh.
the young controllable for young controllable. Fans of one of these teams are going to yell at me and say that's stupid. It probably is stupid, but the Reds need offense. Red Sox need pitching. It's kind of challenge trades. You don't see very often. I could see the Red Sox doing this, like, kind of soft in-season retooling, fix their pitching a little bit. I think their offense and their defense are both legit, to the point where, 22-1 for a team 5 games out of the divisional race is insane. Now, one of the reasons is because there are 3 teams in front of them. Being 5 games out and in 4th place is a lot different than being 5 games out and in 2nd place. I acknowledge that, but I look at the futures market. I look around the league, and I'm always like, I went through and looked at the win total over-unders for every team, like current over-unders, and I compared them to projected rest of season records at Fangraphs and Baseball Prospectus, and virtually nothing stood out to me, which is, it shows that at this time of year, like, finding value on the team-based markets is a lot harder. So I look at all these markets, and Boston just keeps standing out to me. Big red letters. As we're talking, they've won 7 in a row. They're 5 games over 500. Maybe they're playing a little over their heads, just like the Blue Jays were last week. But this is a very lumped together division, and it's we'll talk about this next week, like the home run derby. When the home run derby odds came out yesterday, I looked at the longest odds, which was Junior Caminero, who I think was 12-1, and I immediately placed a bet on him because when it's a quote unquote crapshoot, it's like, I feel like the longest shots are generally stand out as more valuable. And if you're looking at these 4 AL East teams, there's not that huge of a difference between the 4 of them in terms of overall quality. Why not bet on the longest shot, especially when they're 22-1? So that's my take. Throwing one more egg in my Red Sox basket. It's going to be the last one. I swear to you, it's going to be the last one. I should mention, the 2 bets I made last month, they've been trending in a positive direction for me. Like, plus 330 to make the playoffs, and they're like plus 140 now or something like that. So
I'm with you on targeting this division as a whole, and I'm interested in the Red Sox. I think they're a really good team, and you kind of talk about the way the Rays innovate. We were talking opener on the first podcast we did today. They also, like, kind of innovated the you can be a buyer and a seller. Like, we don't need to live in these binary worlds. That you can sell off a piece and then bring in a piece, and you can do both. This is this magical new world. I could totally see the Red Sox bring in some pitching. If that team adds pitching, the lineup and defense is really top tier. It kind of feels like you said, like, this crazy division. Take the long shot, because each team is going to have their moment in the sun, like their time in the sun. Each team's going to get a run, get up to the top of the division. Then you can leverage it if need be. But I'm with you. I'm being intrigued. I also like the Rays here as well. Feels like they haven't had they've been good, but like they haven't hit the full turbo. I think they're always a good team to back as well. So I think you're right to target this division. I like the Red Sox too.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us on our bonus futures episode of Payoff Pitch. Again, All-Star break coming up. We are not at the midway point of the season, but we are at the break part of the season. Great time to check in on the futures. Not sure if we'll have anything for August. We'll kind of react to the market, and if Jim and I see some stuff that we like, the later in the season, obviously the tougher it is to find value in the futures market, but we'll play it by ear there. Either way, I hope everyone enjoys the All-Star break and the festivities there. We will have episodes this week for both the Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game. On Monday, there will be a podcast breaking down the best bets for the Home Run Derby. Also, Monday evening, a live show on the Action Network YouTube channel, breaking down the odds, all of the Home Run Derby odds. Everyone knows about betting on who's going to win, but you can bet on longest home run. You can bet over-unders for individual players. It is in my opinion, it is the most underrated gambling event of the year. There are so many fun niche things to bet on. The Home Run Derby is a ton of fun. It's a gambling event, and also on a night when there's nothing else to bet on. I'm not sure if there's WNBA games on Monday night. Jim, you
usually
you
have
might
Mondays
know.
off, so
Yeah, so there you go. So we will have that on Monday. Again, be sure to subscribe to the Action Network's YouTube channel. Tune into that on Monday night. And on Tuesday, Sean Zerillo and I will be back to break down the All-Star Game itself. It's a very silly thing to bet on, but it's also very fun. You can bet on who's going to win the MVP. You can bet on the over-unders. Is MLB going to bring back juice baseball so that we get moonshots in Atlanta on Tuesday night? Don't forget to download the free award-winning Action Network app. Leave us that 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to the podcast. Also, check out the Action Network Discord. There's a link in the episode description of this podcast. For Jim Turvey, I'm Collin Whitchurch. Thanks for listening to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's MLB betting podcast. Good luck with all your bets and enjoy the All-Star break.